Westinghouse Tower. Completed in 1970, it was the first building east of Mississippi completely powered by electricity. Now, if you look on either side of the River Dutchess, you see the remains of an old bridge. These two Point State Park. But back in the 1700s, this was a very strategic area to hold control of because it's where the rivers met. So the French built Fort Duquesne here in 1754, and after repeated British attacks, the French got tired of it, burned their own fort so it wouldn't fall into enemy hands, and left. The British then came in and built Fort Pitt in 1758. Now the Fort Pitt Blockhouse is actually very interesting. You can tour it Wednesday through Sunday, and the curator down there, if you're a history fan, she knows a lot about all kinds of local history. Now we're coming to where you see our beautiful fountain at the point. This was originally put here in the 70s. A couple of years ago, it was turned off for, I think it was off for 3 years. They renovated the entire thing. This whole area of Point State Park underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation and just is completely finished this year. Now, as we are headed around the point, I'm going to turn it over to Captain Jason to tell us more about our fountain and our 3 rivers. Thank you, Captain Jason.
All right, thank you, Leah. Now, we are currently coming off of the Monongahela River as we speak. We're going to be on the confluence of all 3 rivers here in just a second. The bow of our boat will be on the Allegheny, the midship will be on the Ohio, and the stern of our boat will be on the Monongahela. So if you ever want to be in 3 places at one time, you can knock it off your bucket list. As Holly always says, we are now on 3 rivers at one time. If you look over to your right, that's where the point, right?
Hello.
Sorry about that, guys. If you look over to the right where the point's at, that's where the Ohio River forms. Mile marker 0.0. If you look off to the left side down to the port, if you follow that 981 miles, that'll take you down to Cane Road, Illinois. From Cane Road, make a left-hand turn to the lower Mississippi River. If you follow that another 953.8 miles, you'll end up down to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, from the Gulf of Mexico, that does make Pittsburgh accessible via the waterways to anywhere in the world. Now, the Ohio River does have 20 walking dams all the way out to Cairo. As a person sound has been up all 20 of them when we brought the 3 rivers queen to Pittsburgh. The Ohio River is made up of the sand and gravel river. Now we're making our turn onto the 3rd and final river of the day. This is going to be the Allegheny River. Now the Allegheny River gets its start up in Potter County, Pennsylvania. It marches up through Olin, New York. 325 miles later, it returns down here to the city of Pittsburgh. Now even though this river is 325 miles long, only the last 72 miles of the Allegheny River can be navigated up to East Brady, Pennsylvania. Once you
Duquesne Bridge. This is the sister bridge to the Fort Pitt Bridge, which we saw on the other side. This bridge was completed back in 1963. And when it first was completed, it was known as
the bridge to nowhere.
because they built a bridge that went from our city across the Allegheny over to the North Shore, and then it just stopped. Why is that? Well, they built the bridge and they got it done on time, but they forgot to get all the clearances and permits they needed to finish the highway. So this bridge literally sat here, just ending right on that first bridge pier on land, for 6 years. It went absolutely nowhere because they hadn't finished the highway. Now, of course, they posted the bridge, stop, bridge out, danger, whatever you put on the end of an unfinished bridge. And there's always one guy who's not paying attention. You know there's always one. He was a 21-year-old student at the University of Pittsburgh, and he drove the family's 1959 station wagon right off the end of the bridge. Now, the good news is, cars were very, very sturdy back then. He was not hurt. He walked away. However, the car, well, didn't fare so well. My only thing is, can you imagine? He had to go home and tell his father, Dad, about the family car. I kind of totaled it driving off an unfinished bridge. Yeah, don't know about your dad. I would not be standing here today if I had done that. And it became a thing locally. A radio station put out bumper stickers that said, I survived the Great Bridge Leap. So the police were afraid other people would try it, and they finally put concrete barriers across until 1969 when they finished the highway and connected everything. So So then it was much more useful. If you look off to your starboard side, you see some shiny silver buildings. And what we've done is we've made a big U-turn. We've gone around the point, out the other side. So the buildings we saw on the Monongahela are now kind of behind these buildings. This group of silver buildings is Gateway Center. The one closest to the river houses KDKA TV. But up until a couple of years ago, KDKA Radio was in this building as well. KDKA Radio, historically famous as the very first commercially broadcasting radio station in the world. Signed on the air in November of 1920, broadcasting election results and weather reports, and has been on the air ever since. Now, of course, you see off to our port side, PNC Park, home of our Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll talk more about that on our way back down the Allegheny. If you look up to your starboard side, you see a building that says Highmark. This is Fifth Avenue Place. It says Highmark because they rent out many of the floors of this building. And if you look on top of the building, you see a big stick, a needle on the top. That stick is about 13 stories tall all by itself. Now, interesting story as to why it's there. You see, the man who designed the building wanted the building to be taller than it is. He wanted the building to be as tall as the top of that needle. But when he submitted the design to the city went, no, you can't do that. He said, what do you mean? It's my building. I'll build it as high as I want. And they said, but it's our city and we don't want your building overshadowing the other building. So he said, fine. And to make a point, literally and figuratively, he put it 13 stories thick on top of that building. It's mounted on springs, and in a good wind, it will move as much as 3 feet. Although, I have never seen it move from the deck of this boat, so this must be a bad angle to see it. We are now coming to our 3 sister bridges, the 6th, 7th, and 9th Street bridges. If you look in front of our boat, the Duchess, we are going under the 6th Street Bridge, or the Roberto Clemente Bridge, as it is known. This bridge, when the Pirates are playing, they will close this bridge to automobile traffic and use it as a pedestrian bridge. Once we come under the bridge, if you look off to your starboard or right side, you see a really interesting building with an archway built into it. This is the old Fulton building, now the Renaissance Hotel. This is a hotel. You can get a room and stay in this building. The building was built back in 1907, and the reason for the archway, back then, air conditioning sort of existed but was rarely used. Well, the man who designed the building put the archway in so every office could open windows, get a nice cross breeze, and keep everybody cool. Now these 3 sister bridges of ours, it's the only place in the world you can see 3 bridges of the same design sitting side by side like this. They've won many architectural and design awards. This next one is the 7th Street or Andy Warhol Bridge. Now this is not the first 7th Street bridge to sit on this site, and I found out something. Harry Houdini, the escape artist, once came to town and did a trick on this bridge. They shackled him, dropped him into the river, and he was saved.
Wow.
So now we are under the Andy Warhol Bridge. Andy Warhol from this area, and we do have a museum in his honor. Once we come out from under the bridge, if you look over to your port or left side, you'll see a red brick building that says Burns White, and right behind it, a lighter colored building. That is the Andy Warhol Museum, open for tours daily, celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Now, if you look back over to your starboard or right side, you see the building that says K&L Gates. Directly down the front of it, look and see the building with the really neat red dome on the top. That's the Keenan Building, built back in 1907, and it was built by Thomas Keenan. Now, he lived in that dome. That was his penthouse. So you might think now, oh, that must be a great restaurant or something. I wish. No. The building is an apartment building now, and all that's in the dome is the elevator equipment, which is kind of sad. I think we need a petition or something to get a restaurant or something up there. It would be a great, great area. We're now going under our 9th Street or Rachel Carson Bridge, named for author Rachel Carson, who is from our Springdale suburb. She wrote the book Silent Spring, which was instrumental in getting DDT banned as a pesticide and in starting our environmental movement many years ago. If you look out to your starboard side now, you look up, you see the building that says UPMC. That stands for University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, which rents out many of the floors in this building. This is our tallest skyscraper, the USX or US Steel Tower, 64 stories tall. You will never ever see a window washer on this building. It's not that the windows are dirty, but the windows are on gaskets, so they can just flip them and clean them from the inside. If we have this technology, my only question is, why don't I have it in my house? Why am I still stuffing myself out the window at odd angles trying to clean my windows? Now, in front of the building that says UPMC, the one building on the left that has the pyramid-shaped top, that's the Gulf Tower. And next to it, the one with the green pointy top, that is the Coppers Building. These two built in about 1929, excellent examples of Art Deco architecture. These two, along with the Grant Building that I showed you on the Monongah Halo, that's the one that was a lighthouse. These three were our main skyscrapers in our skyline for many, many years. In fact, the Gulf Tower here was our tallest until the USX Tower was built. If you see the Gulf Tower at night, that top lights up. Now, it used to be there was neon on the top of the building, and it would light up orange for nice weather, blue for rain.